it feels really good to get an applause in this stadium. It's never happened before. I mean, honestly, who needs Tim McGraw when you got Charles Billingsley? He does have Faith Hill though, so.
Hey Tim, when we were together the other day, we were joking about some of the ways that people sometimes teach you about your throwing, and you reminded me that you threw good enough to beat the Chargers last time you were here. So, so we're all humbled again, and we're back ready to talk a little bit.
That was a fun day. That was a good day.
You know what? This is a great place. Many of us have been here many times and have seen some incredible games and great outpouring of courage. And here we are today on Father's Day to talk about how wonderful it is as men and men of God to be courageous in this world today. And I know you've had a great example in your own family. In fact, I talked to your dad on the phone this week and tried to coax him into coming down here for Father's Day, but he's busy preaching the gospel somewhere else.
He is. Him and my mom were speaking at some church in some part of the country, so they're off doing their thing. And you know, it was funny, before I even woke up this morning, I wanted to send him a Happy Father's Day text, and he had already sent me one, Happy Son text. And so, I am very blessed to have a great role model.
Yeah. What are some of the more important lessons that you've learned from your dad, Tim?
Well, so much as a young boy and growing up, you think that it's about what your dad's going to instill in you, what your dad's going to tell you, how your dad's going to talk to you. And for me, it wasn't about any of those things. For me, it was about watching my dad, because he could say whatever he wanted, but I watched him, how he acted, how he was, how he treated my mom, how he treated my 4 siblings, and that's where I learned the most from my dad, is because it wasn't about what he said, it was about what he did in front of me and my siblings my whole life. And I can remember one time when I was 8 years old, and my dad would leave every summer for 5 weeks and go to the Philippines. And so he left, and he came back, and me and my brothers, my mom met him at the airport, and we were so excited to see my dad. And so we ran up to the gate, we gave big hugs, we went and we got in the car, and my dad was like, I gotta make a quick stop. So we were driving home, we pulled into Blockbuster, back when there actually were Blockbusters. And so he said, y'all wait in the car. And he went inside, he rented a VHS at that time, and he came back out, got in the car, we're like, Dad, what is it, what are we gonna watch? He was like, just wait, I'll tell you when we get home. So we went home, and he sat me and my 2 brothers down on the couch, and the rest of my family was there, but it was just about me and my 2 brothers. And he looked at us and he said, guys, I know that you are all ambitious, that you all have goals that you want to accomplish. And he said, I want to help you do whatever I can to accomplish those goals. He said, I promise you, if you have love for what you do, like the man in this movie, if you have passion for what you want to accomplish, like the man in this movie, and you're willing to sacrifice as much as the man in this movie was willing to sacrifice, I promise you're going to be successful. And he went on to play the movie Braveheart, and it might have been a little much for an 8-year-old, I'll give you that. But ever since then, that was my favorite movie, and it had the biggest impact on my life, because every time I go to practice from then on out, I'd always think about what my dad said to me. Do I really love what I'm doing? Am I passionate about it? And am I willing to sacrifice more than everybody else is willing to sacrifice? Because those 3 things are very easy to say, they're very hard to do. Do you really love what you do? Are you passionate about it? Passion isn't something that comes and goes. Passion is something that comes from deep down. Are you really passionate about it? And are you willing to sacrifice? Because if you have those 3 things, and whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, I think you're probably going to be pretty successful.
Amen. That's true. Tim, part of what we're trying to do today is counteract the idea that many people have that if you're a Christian and you're a man, that you can't really be a man. Maybe not even competitive. But I read your book, and I was overwhelmed at how competitive you were right out of the chute. And you and your brothers, I mean, you went at it, didn't you?
We did. I'm the baby of 5, and so I had to fight for everything that I got. Not really, but I was so competitive at a young age, and would talk to my parents, please let me go play sports, please let me go play sports. And so when I was 4 years old, they signed me up at Normandy Athletic Park, and I got to play baseball. And I was on the White Sox, and I was so excited. I was playing for Coach Langley, and so our first game, we show up early. I'm warmed up, ready to go at 4 years old. And he brings the team together, and he looks at us, and he goes, guys, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's just about having fun. I looked at him, and I go, no, it's not. I said, it's only about winning. And he looked at me so puzzled because he knew my parents, and it was just like, what? And I went over to my dad across the fence, and I was like, Dad, he said it's not about winning. And I was like, just calm down. And so I went out there to the field, and I knew that a lot of guys wouldn't be able to catch the ball and stuff, because I found that out in the practices. So when the ball was hit, I would run and go get the ball wherever it was hit, and I'd grab it, and I would run and go tag the guy out before he got to first. And Coach Langley stopped me after the inning, and he said, Timmy, you have to throw the ball to first. And I said, why? He's not going to catch it. And so it became something that I was so competitive, and I was just going to do anything to win when I was 4, about to turn 5 years old. And it really took a while for me to gain trust in teammates and learn how to be a team player. But that was just a sign of how competitive I was at a young age.
Well, now we understand why you take games over in the last quarter and win, but nobody else is going to win. Just do it. Start it early.
We'll try to start earlier.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Hey, the first thing people talk about, and we had a press conference today, it was one of the first questions everybody wants to know, has to do with your faith and how you balance your faith and your sport and your life. And I don't know what everybody expects that to be. It's almost like sometimes, Tim, when I hear this question, I think that everybody should have like a little faith place over here and maybe a little football place over here, maybe a little family place down here. But for you, it's much different than that, isn't it?
Well, the world looks at me and thinks, I'm a football player that's a Christian. And I look at the world and say, I'm a Christian that happens to play football.
Amen.
And I am truly blessed because for some reason in today's society, people look up to football players, and you have opportunities to share with folks, and you have young boys that are looking up to you. I remember when I was a young boy and I was looking up to Danny Werfel. He was my favorite player, and I remember the impact that it had on my life when I could watch him on the field every time he threw a touchdown, and he'd put his hands together and pray, and how humble he was. And I could look at that as a 6, 7, 8-year-old boy when he's playing quarterback at the University of Florida, and I said, there's someone that's doing it the right way. And he was a huge role model for me, and that is honestly my dream and my passion, is to be a great role model for the next generations and the boys that are looking up to me, that their dream is to go play quarterback and be a football player, that I can be a good role model for them.
Amen.